everyone, I'm Hayley. I'm always in the craft room and I'm really glad to be back in my happy place. We had a wonderful family holiday in Spain. The kids had a fantastic time. The weather was beautiful. The villa was gorgeous. But I know what you all need to know is, how did my holiday wardrobe perform? Well, winners and losers. The surprise winner of the week was my paper cut patterns anima pants. I kind of threw these in to wear of an evening, not really expecting to get a lot of wear out of them because they are quite warm, but actually they were just perfect over the top of a swimsuit, and I also wore them on the way home. Now, even with these, again, there's good and bad. So the good news is I have now perfected the fit of these trousers. Some of you will know this is pair number 3 and I made a big error with this pair in that before I made them I did not check how stretchy my fabric was, and actually this particular strange fabric that I got cheap from a jobber locally has 0 stretch up and down. It has crosswise stretch but not top to bottom, and that affected the fit quite badly. So before I went on holiday, I took the original waistband off, and having no more of this fabric and also wanting a 4-way stretch fabric, I added this waistband on top, and this is the waistband from the Swim Style Carla loungewear pants. The waistband that comes with the anima pants I've just not got on well with. My first pair, the waistband was so tall, it was like literally creating a shelf under my boobs. Then I shortened it, it was still a bit too much. Then I shortened it even more, and due to the fact that I was using only 2-way, not 4-way stretch, that was then too narrow. In the end, I decided to just use a waistband I know and love. And one thing I really like about the waistband from the Swim Style Carlas is that it has a centre back seam and no side seams. I find that firstly extremely comfortable. Secondly, it's quicker to make because it's 1 seam, not 2. And also it shows you which is the front and which is the back of the trousers at a glance. Now these have pockets, so it's not really a big thing, but on all of my other pairs of Carla loungewear pants, that is actually a really useful feature. So I am now satisfied that I have a pattern I love using the anima legs with the cuff and the Carla waistband. However, I wore these part of the way home. So I left Spain in a sundress because it was so hot, and then on the plane I started to get cold, and also it was a maxi dress with lots of tiers and it just wasn't that practical, honestly, for corralling kids and luggage on the plane. So I nipped to the loo and I put these on. And as I glanced in the mirror just before I went back to my seat, I noticed something that I hadn't spotted before, and now I've seen it, I can't unsee it. These waistbands don't match, which I was aware of previously, and I thought, oh, it doesn't really matter. But this particular contrast looks like maternity trousers. If you've owned a pair of maternity jeans, you will know exactly what I mean, that the stretchy waistband never quite matches the jeans. And obviously that's because of the twill weave of the denim and the warp and the weft threads being different colours. But actually, all pairs of maternity trousers that I ever had a different colour waistband, I think just because the belly band needs so much stretch. It needs such a high percentage of like elastane or lycra that it's never a perfect match for the rest of the garment. And just at a glance, especially with where these were sitting on my body, this darker waistband just totally looked like a maternity waistband. So yeah, I wore them on the way home. It was fine, but these are now house trousers. I had intended to wear them for like work at home days and doing the school run, but I don't want to start any rumours on the playground. I will not be leaving the house in these. Maybe in winter if I'm wearing a longer jumper with them, but just with a t-shirt, yeah, they are really giving maternity vibes, unfortunately. But you know what? We have proof of concept. At least we've got a pattern now that I'm happy with, because I do love a pair of cuffed joggers, and my last two ready to wear pairs from the COVID lockdowns really need replacing. So a bit of a success and a bit of a revelation on those. The next update is on my swimsuits. So you may recall I took 2 swimsuits with me, and one of them was this. Sorry, it's just come out the washing machine. Ready to wear DKNY suit. And then I had exactly the same suit in an alternative colourway that I cut down into a tankini before I went. So there's the top, and here are the bottoms. And what I decided to do, I've just turned those inside out, haven't I? What I decided to do was take both with me, wear both, see which I preferred. And honestly, I have issues with both of them. So the reason I originally cut it down to a tankini is that I have a very short torso, and this original one-piece situation was a bit droopy in the bottom once it got soaked with pool water. So I wore this and I was fine in it. I think it looks really nice. I love the colour, I love the shape, but I wasn't 100% comfortable in it, especially when I was floating on a rubber ring in the pool, which I know, that's what dreams are made of. I just was conscious that this wasn't sitting as close to my body as I would like, and you know, it was a family holiday. We don't want any wardrobe malfunctions. But the blue one wasn't perfect either. And I'm slightly baffled as to why, although I do have a couple of theories. So when I cut this down, I drew a line where I thought it should be. I used my sharpest pair of fabric scissors and I did a really nice clean cut. I didn't have to go back and tidy up any jagged edges or anything. And then, thanks to a commenter on a video I made last year where I talked about doing this, I did not turn a hem up nor turn a waistband down. Someone said, just beware, you're going to lose more length than you think you are, so be cautious. So I was, and I finished both top and bottom with fold over elastic. So I can honestly tell you that in doing this alteration, I lost absolutely no length. I didn't trim any away and I didn't turn any hems. And yet, when I put the green one on, it's too long in the torso, but when I put this one on as a tankini, there was a gap at my midriff. Now, it's like not the worst thing in the world. The gap was very small, but because I did the elastic fairly snug to hold these up, and there was elastic around the bottom of the top, it did just pinch me a little bit and it wasn't the most comfortable. But also, I just don't want a gap there because, look at me, I'm so pale. My torso is the only part of my body that I do not have to absolutely slather in factor 50 for every second of every day that I'm on holiday. So I just wasn't loving that I kept having to tug it down when I was in the pool and things, so I didn't get burnt there. So yeah, a bit of a disappointment. When I think about why it is, given that I didn't take any length out, I think it may just be the nature of the fabric. Swimsuit fabric is so stretchy. I think as soon as you lose the fact that it's pulled down on your body, it just immediately springs back up. It's also very slinky and slippery. So when I pulled the top down so that it was over the bottoms, it didn't have any kind of grip to hold it there. It literally just immediately slipped back up. So yeah, it was a good experiment and it was great wearing this all day. It was a lot easier to take a bathroom break. But honestly, my main conclusion is that the time has come. For my next holiday, I'm going to have to start making swimwear, aren't I? I think just as I've got better at sewing and fitting, I've also got fussier about ready to wear. I don't think any of this would have bothered me years ago. I would have just thought that swimsuits need constant tugging, but now I know better. And yeah, we've got nothing planned, so it's not an immediate need, but I do think once these are worn out, I will be going handmade route. Speaking of, if anyone knows a pattern that is similar to this, I really love the shape of this. I know it's like so basic, but we're not aiming to reinvent the wheel here. We just want a nice, comfortable mum swimsuit. We don't want any cheeky bottoms. We don't want any high cut legs. If you know of a swimwear pattern like that, please do let me know in the comments below. The other revelation from my holiday was that I need more crossback bras. Last year I made quite a few they weren't racer back tanks, but they have really cut in shoulders and I cannot wear a regular bra with them without it showing. And I only have one crossover bra, which is actually a ready to wear pretty poly bra that didn't fit me well. So in order to make it fit better and pull it in, I crossed the straps at the back, and it is great for wearing with those tops. I just need more crossback bras. I have a pattern I like, the Ruby's Bras Sahara bra, and it's very easy to just cross the straps when you sew them on, and I personally don't mind putting it on over my head, so I do need to make some more of those. Speaking of underwear, you can probably see behind me, that's what I'm working on at the moment. I had some underwear already cut out, I think from last year, possibly the year before, and I was just waiting for scraps to make the lining piece, and also I was waiting on more stretch lace elastic, which I bought recently, so that's what I'm getting on with. I also have a t-shirt almost completely made. I did start vlogging this and I don't know what I did with the footage, to be honest, so I might dig that out and release it as a vlog, or maybe I'll just hem it and that will be done. This is kind of the closet core tee, but I've sized down a lot because I found it quite oversized. And the last thing I need to work on is the dress that I'm planning to wear for a forthcoming wedding. You may recall I showed you this dress a few weeks ago and said I intended to dye it. Well, before I spend all that time and energy dyeing it, I thought it would probably be a good idea to try it on and make sure it still fits and I still like it, because this dress is about 5 years old. And when I tried it on, I immediately noticed that the zip has come undone. Now, it isn't too snug. I don't think it was, straining and is too tight. I wonder if I was a bit rough with the zip, getting it past this ribbon. Anyway, I absolutely need to repair that, and I thought it would be a good idea to do it before I dye it, because I've only ever dyed one thing before and I didn't do a great job of it. It took the dye very unevenly, so I want to make sure this is really good to go before I try dyeing it. And thank you to everyone who suggested resources and video tutorials for how to use the polyester dye, because I had hoped to dye this in the washing machine, but due to fabric composition, it's polyester and nylon. I am going to have to do a proper dye bath and I'm slightly nervous. So I haven't decided what I am going to work on next. As I said, I've got a few bits and pieces to keep me going and some repairs. I still haven't done my navy linen trousers either, which need a repair on the zip. My machine was threaded white. That's my excuse and I'm sticking with it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little catch up and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.